Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé that if he expects me to contribute 50-50, we have to make some serious lifestyle changes? Original post. My 26 female fiancé, 26 male, sat me down yesterday and gave me a long talk about how he feels like I don't contribute enough to the household, particularly in the financial sense. I was a bit caught off guard by this, but was willing to hear him out, since he wasn't wrong. He makes a lot more than I do, and we've always split bills accordingly, which ends up being about 80% him. I asked what he wanted me to pay now, and he was adamant about it being 50-50. I asked if everything was okay with his job, or if he needed to take fewer hours, and he wouldn't answer me. I honestly wouldn't have gotten upset if there seemed like an actual reason behind it. But he just said he'd been thinking about it a lot, over and over, every time I asked what brought him to this conclusion, what was going on. And eventually he just said, "This is how it's going to be. Take it or leave it." Those exact words, in response to literally everything I said. Full shutdown. No explanations. I told him that was fine, I'll take it, and then asked if he'd made a Zillow account yet or expected me to. He looked confused and asked why would we need a Zillow account. I explained that there is no way I can afford half rent in our current place, so we'll probably have to move into a one-bedroom apartment. He got mad and asked why I didn't have savings. I told him that I do, but I'm not paying rent out of my savings because that's a terrible and unsustainable idea. I also began to go over what our new food budget would be, our new entertainment budget, and that would probably have to sell the cars and get one less expensive one because I can't afford half of the payment on an Audi and a Land Rover. Then I explained that date nights would probably have to be reduced too, and we could still do like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, but I preferred Thursday nights because you get 2 orders of boneless wings for one. Basically, if he wants me to pay half, we're living within my means, not his anymore. He kind of agreed to it, but since then he's been incredibly angry. He's not saying or doing anything, but it's like he's walking around the house in this cloud of anger. I sent him 6 Zillow listings, all of which he's called uninhabitable for various reasons, some of which I think were valid, others I disagree with. He's now saying that I'm being unfair and manipulative, and that he tried to come to me with a serious concern about our relationship, that I'm making it impossible for him to talk to me and bulldozing over him. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole at all, and you are making perfect sense in my mind. If he wants 50-50, he needs to understand that your income is the limiting agent in this reaction. It does sound like he has something else going on, but I would mentally prepare for him to call the wedding off. This sounds like he is coming up with reasons to get rid of you in his mind, but he does not want to come off as the bad guy. Spot on. Also, the way he shut down any type of communication and got mad when she accepted and made changes that should benefit them both, seeing as he is the one who made a complaint, is sketchy. I would hold off on this wedding. Not the a-hole. Is he trying to break up with you and he wants you to pull the plug? That was my first thought. He wanted to be able to make her the bad guy by casting her as a materialistic gold digger. Now he's in a position where she accepted his ultimatum, and he needs to admit he is the materialistic one. Leave this a-hole, because you're clearly in the right. I'm sorry you've been treated this way. My husband would never do this. He obviously doesn't genuinely care for you. Not the a-hole. I really loved your style. He thought he had a gold digger, and you flipped the script pretty well. This was awesome. Next question though. You seem like such an intelligent and decent person. Why are you with such an ignorant and self-centered prick? I'm wondering whether he's throwing this up so that Opie breaks up with him. Then he can call her a gold digger. Opie reasonably suggested logical options. Now for the update. Hi everyone. This got way bigger than intended, so I figured a follow-up was owed. So, last time I posted was Monday. Monday as a whole was spent just sorting through what I felt and what to do next. There was a lot of silence and a lot of anger and a lot of Reddit advice, some of which I found very insightful, some of which was less so. Also, some people think I made this up as a part of a viral marketing sponsorship between Buffalo Wild Wings, Audi, and Zillow, which honestly would solve the money problems if true, but alas, it's not the case. On Tuesday after I got home from work, I sort of just walked up to him on the elliptical and explained as calmly as I could that I had questions, and if he actually wanted to marry me, he needed to be willing to answer them. I asked if he thought I was a gold digger, yes or no. He said yes. I told him that I wasn't willing to be in a relationship where I have to prove myself by sacrificing any sort of stability, and that led to a bit of a screaming match and eventually a confession. So it turns out we cannot afford anything we have right now. We are in a serious credit card debt. The cars are both on the verge of being repossessed, and I did not know about any of this. He's been cutting corners on actual necessities, including psychiatric medication. That, in combination with some comments from his family, led him to some pretty dark places. My fiancé had a full breakdown and apologized for calling me a gold digger, which was nice to hear, but this whole thing had me pretty shaken up, so I went to stay with a friend for a little bit. Yesterday, my fiancé and I did in fact go out to Buffalo Wild Wings and get the 2-for-1 boneless. We talked a lot. I'm still riding fiancé for now, and I really hope we can work through all of this. We talked about how to sell the cars. We don't particularly have a choice at this point. And about my income, his income, and the sort of life we want to have. If we do stay together, we'll be changing how we live a lot. We need to get out of debt. We need to get on our feet. I know some people are gonna say I'm being dumb for not immediately dropping all contact and giving up on the relationship, but I can't do that. I can't look at the guy I love, who went off his meds to try and make a good life for me, and think he's not worth sticking around for, at least to try. I don't know what the future looks like at all anymore though, and the wedding is very postponed at the moment. Sorry this wasn't a more fun update. Watch your credit like a home slice. Yeah, eventually he may start taking debts in her name. My dad did this back while I was in high school. Forged my mom's signature on a number of loans to try and keep us afloat while his business failed. And went off his heart and depression meds too, as he started doing sketchier and sketchier things to try and right the ship. As you can imagine, it did not end well. My wife's ex-husband did this. Said he graduated college when in fact he did not. Did just enough to qualify for max student loans and pretended the money was from a low-paying job. Co-signed more loans by forging her signature. On top of other sketchy things he did, he had the audacity to destroy her home when she wanted a divorce, and even kidnapped her dog. People are weird. Edit? Some other crazy stuff. He ripped out all of the HVAC ducts and insulation in the attic and put the AC as low as it could go, tied all the blind cords and nuts so the blinds were not functional, packed up the entire house in a U-Haul while she was at work, and literally took everything she owned. Disconnected all the plugs and switches, so no plugs or switches worked. A few other things I don't remember, but those are the big ones. After everything, all she wanted was her dog. She told him to keep everything else if he wanted it. Did she get the dog back? Yes, we currently have the happy, healthy 15-year-old dog. This happened back in like 2011-ish. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I won't be replacing my car? I, male 48, grew up in a low-income family. My parents worked very hard to provide for me and my siblings, and while we were always well-fed and clothed, we definitely felt our economic situation growing up. Because of this, I feel that I am financially wise, and I tried to live a bit frugally when possible, despite making a very good income. For the past year, I have come under increasing pressure from my wife, female 46, and our 3 kids, female 19, male 15, female 13, to replace my old car. For reference, I drive a 2008 Hyundai Sonata with almost 200,000 miles. While cosmetically the car has a few scratches and dings, mechanically it is essentially in perfect condition and costs very little to operate. My wife and kids, however, view the car as a source of family shame. They continually point out how it looks completely out of place in our area, and that considering my income, I should be driving something far nicer. I've always maintained with my children that they shouldn't place too much emphasis on material things, and that people should be investing in more important aspects of life. But I feel that these messages are partially ignored. Last week, my eldest daughter borrowed a car to hang out with her friends and mentioned to me how they joked about how outdated her dad's car is. I told her that she shouldn't worry too much about what other people think and that we should be grateful that a car works. However, she told me that this was irrelevant in our particular context, since all her friends arrived in much nicer cars, and since we live in a nice area. Last night, my wife and I planned on attending a social event with some of our friends and coworkers. As I was grabbing my keys, my wife stopped me and told me that we would be taking her car since mine had become too embarrassing. During the drive, she told me I was being unreasonable for holding onto my car for so long that I needed to get rid of it. She mentioned that I should consider that our youngest daughter just started high school and that she might feel uncomfortable getting dropped off and picked up in a car in front of her peers. My wife then went on to say how people within our own social circle found it odd for me to drive such a car, and brought up how many friends and coworkers have made jokes about a car in the past. I told her that I wasn't going to replace my car since it worked fine and getting a new one would be an unnecessary expense. I mentioned how it was an important lesson for our kids to learn, but she then accused me of being stubborn and stingy. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, but you live with a bunch of shallow, superficial, wasteful people. Drive that car until the next kid needs a car and then pass it down to her. Buy yourself a newer used car that can be passed down to the next kid. Appreciation is learned. Retirement is expensive. I was going to say the same thing. I went back to school in my 30s, and my 11-year-old understands that I can have a newer car and less money for fun and allowance, or we can keep my older car until it goes to car heaven. OP's kids seem kinda spoiled, to be honest. If they knew what it was like to have to walk, bicycle, and take public transportation all the time, they wouldn't give a crap what kind of car they had, or if they had to pay for it themselves. Not the a-hole. You don't need to be frugal to want to have more money in today's economy. It's smart. Not the a-hole. If you are comfortable in your car and they are comfortable in their car, then they don't need to worry about what you are driving. Being so concerned about the opinions of others is rarely a helpful thing. However, you may want to consider how safe your current vehicle is. Are the airbags still good? Does it have appropriate and updated safety features? I would consider replacing it more for safety reasons and less for appearance reasons. Thanks for the feedback. I had a car safety tested back in March, and all its safety systems are working normally. Also, its emissions are normal. That the safety features it has are working properly certainly is a good thing. But the other thing to consider is just how much safety features have advanced in 15 years. Think lane departure warning, auto braking, side window airbags, knee airbags, etc. The safety features of today are a lot different. Source: have a 2007 car, and recently-ish bought a 2019 car. We need 2 cars, but can't afford to replace the 2007 just yet. But if we had a means, we would for a newer used car that has better safety features. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my 28 male girlfriend, 25 female, that she went too far in messing with her sister? My girlfriend is low contact with her parents and older sister. She has a difficult relationship with them as she felt bullied by her sister Cora, 31 female, growing up. Her mother was frequently ill and depressed, and her father traveled for work for months at a time. They were kinda poor, so Cora did multiple jobs since her teens. It was controlling and domineering with her siblings about chores and schoolwork. My girlfriend has a lot of resentment about her unpleasant childhood and has pushed back by sabotaging things for Cora in silly and petty ways. Cora got married to her boyfriend of 3 years about 6 months ago. My girlfriend flew over to attend, but did act bratty to mess with Cora. It was mostly minor stuff, like not confirming travel plans till last minute, so Cora was forced to pay more for plane tickets. Changing her mind about her dress frequently, so Cora had to buy and return outfits multiple times. There were a few other things too, like messing with some organized plans and refusing to do things she committed to. I don't really like it or understand it, but she feels it's important for such payback to bring a balance to her relationship with her sister. Where I feel she went too far is that the night before the wedding, she had a long talk with the groom about how difficult and short-tempered Cora can be. He has a kid, 6 male, from his previous marriage, and she knew they were planning on having more kids right after they got married. She told him that Cora hates little children and will bully them. The newlyweds ended up having a lot of fights over their honeymoon because the groom wanted to postpone having kids and change how much involvement Cora would have with her stepkid. Cora found out recently that the conflicts are because her sister had this talk with her husband, and she's been blowing up at my girlfriend. She feels upset at my girlfriend's interference because she wanted to have kids soon, and my girlfriend feels justified because she's convinced Cora would be an awful mother. I told her that it wasn't right for her to meddle in her sister's marriage, just to mess with her, but she feels that nothing she said is untrue, so she was morally right to do so. We have been having arguments about this, and my girlfriend is now mad at me. Edited to add, I've been asked this multiple times. So Cora is the oldest. Their parents had separated after she was born, then got back together a few years later and had 3 more kids, one after another. My girlfriend is the second oldest. The youngest two are close to both my girlfriend and Cora, and ignore the conflict between the two. Cora did different short-term jobs for extra money before she got her full-time job. She didn't do 2+ jobs at the same time. Not the a-hole. Based on this and your girlfriend being mad, you better run. In your post, you say your girlfriend is mad because growing up, their mother was ill and depressed and the father was not around due to work, leaving them in a poor condition, requiring Cora as a teen to have to work jobs helping with the home, and got on your girlfriend about chores and schoolwork. So by being forced to parent her siblings as a teen and being tough about homework and chores, girlfriend feels justified in sabotaging her sister? It sounds more ungrateful than anything. Your girlfriend needs serious anger management and general therapy. None of this is healthy nor acceptable. She says she just spoke the truth to her new brother-in-law. But when you go in with an agenda, there is a lot left for you. Your girlfriend will not change unless she gets therapy, and she does not seem to think she has a problem. So likely, she won't seek the help, and you need to think about yourself with this woman. Good luck. Right, Cora raised her, and Opie's girlfriend is being a little turd. She should maintain no contact for their sake. We all know not the a-hole, but girlfriend is and needs to get over herself. Ask yourself, Opie, is this really the type of immature person you want to be with? What makes your girlfriend think she's better prepared to mom than Cora, who actually has been a parent/mom to her siblings? Plus, all the other things she did to mess with the wedding, not bothering to disclose travel plans, insisting on multiple unnecessary wardrobe changes, refusing to honor commitments, etc. are not minor things. They are things that put undue stress on an already stressful process. Your girlfriend is a self-absorbed mess. Not the a-hole. Your girlfriend is not a good person. I'm surprised the groom even took her remarks seriously, because someone who would have behaved that way and say those things at a sibling's wedding is clearly unhinged. Quit making excuses for this woman. You say you haven't even known her a year, so your investment here is still relatively low.